What is going on, Cardano community? Welcome back to the Dapp Central channel. My name is Fareed, and in today's video, I want to give you guys some updates on Cardano as usual. So as a part of today's video, we're going to first run through some Cardano development updates. Following that, we're going to highlight the Valentine upgrade that just launched yesterday on Valentine's Day. And then in closing of today's video, we're going to talk about contingent staking and all of the recent drama within the ecosystem. And then we're going to close off with a brief conversation on the Flint wallet, which has now adopted the minting and burning of JED and Shen directly from their wallet. Now, as always, if you guys want to support my mission here on this channel, which is to educate the broader Cardano community, then definitely consider staking with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. That aside, let's go ahead and just jump straight into today's first topic. So the first thing I want to talk about is going to be Cardano's TVL status. As many of you know, the Cardano TVL has been increasing since the beginning of this new year. Now, I've been looking at this based on the US dollar value, but what I want to show you guys today is going to be the fact that if we take a look at the TVL in Cardano using the actual ADA amount that's currently locked up in the TVL, then we're going to see that we are getting to an all-time high, or we're getting to the point where we're about to set a new all-time high. Now, having said that, do keep in mind that as the price of ADA gets cheaper, it is a little bit easier for people to accumulate Cardano and therefore actually lock it up in smart contracts, therefore giving a higher increase to the TVL. So right now it is a little bit easier for that ADA value to rise. But again, the fact that we are getting to a point where we're almost at an all-time high does speak a lot, given the fact that we've now have JED come online, as well as Liquid Finance come online, which have both secured together, I want to say, over $20 million worth of Cardano in TVL for the ecosystem. So just wanted to highlight that there. And we're going to take a look at DeFi Llama here in just a moment. So what I have now is going to be the Cardano TVL status updated as of the 14th of February, or Valentine's Day. I hope you guys had a wonderful Valentine's Day, by the way. And so coming in at number one with over a dominance now of 32%, which has been decreasing slowly but surely as we are getting a more mature ecosystem, is none other than MinSwap. If you guys are not familiar, MinSwap is one of the top dexes on Cardano, and I believe they had over 100 million worth of ADA traded on their platform in the last month of January. Now, right now they have a total of $33 million in terms of TVL. And then number two, we've got the Indigo protocol. Now, during my last update, this particular team was actually at number 3 behind Wing Riders, but that has flipped over the course of the last week. Now, this is a project that I cover here greatly, and I've been giving them a lot of credit for everything that they continue to build. Their latest addition to their website has been their DEX aggregator feature, which basically allows for you to compare all the prices for different tokens directly on their platform. Now they're coming in at number 2 with a TVL of $16.31 million. And then at number 3, we've got Wing Riders, which is another DEX on Cardano, which has a total TVL of $15.6 million. Right behind them, we have a newcomer on this chart, which is going to be JED. As I mentioned before, you can now mint and burn JED as well as Shen from the official jed.xyz website. And so they have a total of $11 million locked right now. And then coming in at number 5, we've got Sunday Swap, then Muesli Swap at number 6, then look at Liquid Finance with $5.4 million locked in, followed by Optum Finance, Lending Pond, AADA Finance, ADAX Pro, and Fluid Tokens. As you guys will see here, I want to say the top 6 are mainly led by DEXs. The only CDP plays here are going to be Indigo and JED. Now, that said, we will begin to see additional DeFi protocols coming online, right? DEXs were the first platforms on Cardano, effectively giving us the ability to begin trading tokens back and forth. But as we're now starting to see more of these DeFi protocols come online, I do think that we're going to start to see them also begin to rise through the ranks here. Now, what I want to do is just quickly jump over onto DeFi Llama here. And if you guys are not familiar with DeFi Llama, this basically keeps track of all the TVL for different Cardano platforms, as well as just different blockchains in general. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of looking at this here based on the USD value, if I jump over into the ADA value, what you're going to notice is that at the peak of the bull run, or at the peak of Cardano's TVL, we had a 285 million ADA locked across the ecosystem. Now we have actually beat that value from what I can see here, which we're now at about 296 million. Let me actually jump back and just make sure I'm looking at the peak here. At the very peak, we had 324 million ADA. So we're not there just yet, but we are very, very close. And so again, when we're looking at this based off of the USD value, while it may not seem like we are making a rebound, it does seem like the actual ecosystem is continuing to thrive, actually looking to set an all-time high in terms of TVL within the next week or two. Now, as you guys may or may not know, the price of Cardano has been ticking up over the course of last month as well, in which we've seen it rebound from about 27 cents all the way up to now breaking 40 cents. So that's really, really good news there. And if I just scroll down here in terms of the TVL 1 month change, you will see that everyone here is literally within green. We've got MinSwap over 42% over the last 30 days. We've got Wing Riders over 87%. We've got Indigo over 70% as well. And the numbers just keep on continuing to rise. So I'll let you guys kind of take a look at this here on your own. Again, feel free to check out defilama.com to get more information surrounding Cardano's growing TVL. Jumping over into the top gainers within the ecosystem over the last 24 hours, right? We now have the C3 token, or the Charlie 3 token, which is going to be an Oracle platform building on Cardano. Next, we have the actual Cardano token itself, ADA. And then at number 3, we have AGIX, or Singularity Net, which has been getting a lot of attention since the rise of ChatGPT. Coming in at number 4, we got 6.1% for the Jira token, which is going to be a wallet provider on Cardano. And they're actually doing something really cool in the fact that they've already got a application launched on the Play Store for Android, but they've also got an app in the works, which will be launching on Apple iOS Store as well. Coming in after them, we've got RDT, ORN, Vent, Iagon, ADAX, and Matrix. So that's going to be the top traded tokens within the Cardano ecosystem over the last 24 hours. Next, I want to talk about some of the most traded NFTs in the last 7 days. Now, as you guys know, my channel is not necessarily focusing on NFTs specifically, but it is something that I'd like to kind of begin venturing in moving forward. So I do want to just kind of highlight a few of these recent minted NFTs that have been going on Cardano. Coming in at number 1 with over 921,000 ADA traded over the last 24 hours is going to be the ADA Inmates NFT collection. As the name suggests, it's basically an NFT collection, which I believe an art-based one. They do have a little bit of utility for their NFTs, but it's basically NFTs of inmates, different variations, and they've actually gotten a little bit of controversial comments here with some of the higher valued NFTs being representations of very known figures, which I'm not going to go into too much depth here, but again, they are coming in number 1 with a quite large number of ADA being traded in the last 24 hours. Number 2, we have Alley Cats, which I mentioned as a part of one of my previous Cardano scoop updates, with a total of over 649,000 ADA traded. At number 3, we have one of the blue chips within Cardano, in my personal opinion, which is going to be the Ape Society, coming in with over 250,000 ADA traded. And then another blue chip at number 4, which is going to be Clay Nation. Now, the Clay Nation team and the Ape Society team were both at CNFTCon, which took place as a part of the Q4 of 2022. And they, I believe, will be in attendance again at the upcoming CNFTCon for 2023, which will be taking place in September of this year. I also plan on attending that. And if you are as well, let me know down in the comment section below. I hope to meet some of you guys in person at those events. Coming in at number 5, we've got Space Buds, which is another blue chip which has been around. If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be one of the first NFT collections that launched on Cardano, with over 200,000 ADA traded over the last 24 hours. And then another one that I just want to quickly highlight is going to be number 7, which is going to be the Earth Node NFTs for the World Mobile project. If you guys don't know about World Mobile, they're going to be a project aiming to connect the unconnected through a sharing economy. I now have a growing playlist for this particular protocol, which I'll leave down in the description below. But their Earth Node NFTs, there's only going to be 1,000 of these, and they're trading at quite a high price. I believe the floor price right now is somewhere around 80,000 ADA, but keep in mind that there is an amount that has to be locked up in terms of the actual WMT token, which is the governance token for this platform, in order to actually be able to use one of these NFTs, which basically justifies the higher price right now. Now, they are currently undergoing their AYA testnet, which is going to be a closed testnet, which will be going public for Earth Node operators. So if you guys own one of these Earth Nodes, make sure to go ahead and sign up for the AYA testnet. I'm actually going to be collaborating here with something very, very soon, which I'll be sharing with you guys in the community related to the Earth Node project. So that's going to be it for that. I don't want to spill the beans just yet, but you guys do stay tuned for that particular announcement, which I think will will be pretty big in my contribution to the Cardano ecosystem. Now, coming in below them, we've got the Cardano Crocs Club, Porky Island, which also actually had a little bit of controversy within the ecosystem due to their art and the fact that they also had an existing, due to the fact that they also had an existing collection on Ethereum. Coming in very last is going to be Old Money, which is another relatively sturdy project that has been around the ecosystem for quite some time. Jumping over into the next topic that I want to talk to you guys about today is going to be the SECP, or the SECP update. Now, this has also been dubbed the Valentine update due to the fact that it was actually released on Valentine's Day. So if you guys are SPOs, you're going to want to make sure to update your nodes to the latest version, which I believe is node version 1.35.4 or 1.35.5. Now, this is going to basically allow for interoperability and ease of use for developers. So what I'm going to read here are just a few tweets breaking down what this is going to do, and then I'm going to go ahead and leave a link down in the description below in order for you guys to read up more about what the actual SECP update will be doing for Cardano. So it states here from the official input-output Twitter, interoperability is a key for this blockchain. As more dApps are built on Cardano, it's going to be essential that they are not siloed into just one ecosystem, enabling users to interact with different blockchains and access a wider range of services. Native support for SECP now fosters cross-chain interoperability while ensuring the highest level of security. With the Cardano Valentine Upgrade, developers can now easily develop cross-chain dApps that are secure, reliable, and cost-effective. Now, they've also left an additional link to this particular essential Cardano.io article here, which is written up by Tim Harrison from the official IOHK team. So it says here the SECP update, which is going to be a new Cardano cryptographic primitive to bring greater interoperability and secure cross-chain dApp development, has officially launched. To make it easier for developers to build cross-chain applications, Input-Output Global, or IOG, is adding new built-in functions to Plutus support, to support ECDSA and Schnorr signatures. Now, I'm not a developer here, but I do think that this is going to be great for the growing Cardano community. We've already seen additional platforms like Icon and Mesh come online to make the adoption of Cardano development easier for the entire community, and this particular upgrade only adds to that effect. So moving right along, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is going to be contingent staking. Now, if you guys have not been following this drama here, this has been getting a lot of attention. Now, I've actually released my separate video, or a separate video, highlighting what contingent staking is, all the benefits, and some of the drawbacks that we've seen within Charles's recent presentation. Now, what I'm going to do is just kind of play this back here. Now, there's obviously no audio here, but if you guys don't know what contingent staking is, it's basically going to be a proposed option to update how staking works on Cardano to be slightly more regulatory compliant. Now, since Charles has brought this up, and just to be fair, he has brought this up, I want to say more than a year ago, there wasn't really too much concern around staking. But with the recent SEC action against Kraken, we've now seen that staking is at the front of people's mind. Now, having said that, Charles has basically reintroduced this topic, which now appears to get a lot more attention than it previously did before. In summary, what this is trying to do is allow for stake pool operators on Cardano the ability to basically decide who they want to interact with or who they want to have delegate to their stake pool, which right now, as you guys may or may not know, is not the case. Right now, you can go ahead and delegate to any stake pool without them having to confirm or deny your delegation. Now, this has raised a lot of mixed opinions, and I actually just had a recent a recent subscriber, SFZip, that I want to give a big shout out to. Now, SFZip basically left a comment here on one of my videos highlighting all the pros and cons in a super simplified fashion. So what I want to do is briefly highlight some of these pros and cons and just kind of see if you guys are on the pro side or if you guys are more or less worried about the cons. To be fair, I will say that a lot of people have been focusing more or less on the cons, but as Charles has stated in his previous video, or his latest video, which I'll also leave down in the description below, this is all just about having a fair and balanced discussion. So instead of choosing sides, what he said is basically just try to understand why this could be beneficial and who this could be benefiting. And so I definitely have to say that I do agree with that approach. It does make sense to try to be fair and understand why somebody may want to use this and why somebody may not want to use this. So this is why I want to highlight these pros and cons with you guys here very shortly. But keep in mind that this has not even gone through a formal SIP process. A SIP is going to be a Cardano improvement proposal, and we have yet to actually see a SIP launch out to adopt contingent staking. So let's just be patient, right? There's obviously a lot that could change between now and when the SIP actually comes out for this. But also keep in mind that the community is going to have the ability to vote or approve and deny this particular feature. So before we get, too hyped up, this is not going to be something that's going to be shoved or forced down our throat. And this would be something that stake pool operators could basically choose to adopt or not. So nobody's going to be forced to basically do this. And again, keep in mind that you don't have to share everything with a stake pool provider. The stake pool provider could basically ask for certain things, and it wouldn't have to be a blanketed type of KYC that forces you to divulge or to give away all the information about yourself. So again, shout out to SFZip here. The first pro that I want to highlight is going to be that this is going to enable SPOs to have more control over who they do business with, potentially allowing them to align more closely with their values. And so as a part of Charles's last video, he basically highlighted the fact that when you go to certain restaurants or when you go to certain gas stations, they have like a no shoes, no shirt policy, right? Which basically means that like that's what they value. They don't want people there without any shoes or without any shirts, disrupting what they deem to be one of the core values that they want upheld within their store. So similarly here, if you want to basically, have some kind of standard within your stake pool, and you don't want people, just doing anything that they want and being associated with your stake pool, this particular contingent staking feature would allow for you to do that. Number two, this would provide a way to ensure compliance with regulations such as KYC and anti-money laundering requirements, which may be necessary for some types of business activity. And so again, here, this could be for stake pool operators that are running at an institutional level. So you guys can think here of maybe banks that are running stake pools. We also have even places like Binance, right, which is a centralized exchange running stake pools on Cardano. You could also have schools or institutions, like schools and universities running their own stake pools, in which they may want to comply with some regulatory entities outside of Cardano. And again, this would allow for them to do that in a safe way, knowing that they're not breaking any laws. Now, the third key pro here is going to be that this is going to allow for more flexible business models, such as yield enhancement, which may attract more delegators and increase revenues for SPOs. Again, referencing back to Charles's video, he talked about how the action against Kraken, which was very recent, it was a $30 million fine against Kraken, was not necessarily due to staking, but the fact that they were doing yield enhancement with some of the assets being given over to them on their platform. If you guys are not familiar with what yield enhancement is, again, I recommend that you watch Charles's latest video, but he basically talks about the ability for delegators to give their ADA to an SPO or stake pool operator, and then that SPO takes all the ADA rewards and basically puts them in a DeFi protocol in order to earn more yield than the 3 to 4% that you would normally get paid out as a delegator to a stake pool operator. Now, again, that yield would also benefit the delegators, but it would also benefit the SPO. And in order to do this without actually being considered a security, right? Because again, you're giving over your ADA with the expectation of earning more, right? Which is basically defines that as a security in the SEC's eyes. You would have to have some kind of regulatory framework in place. So keep in mind that while this, again, contingent staking has been getting a lot of the people focusing on the cons, this could actually be a pro, giving more people the ability to delegate while also earning more from the SPOs, as long as they're using their ADA delegation proceeds or rewards in the right way. Now, the very last pro here is going to be that this is going to help to mature the industry by creating a more structured and fact-based approach to business relationships on the Cardano network. Again, as we begin to see more institutions, big banks, and bigger platforms come into Cardano, they're going to want to make sure that they're regulatory compliant, and having some of these safeguards in place, as long as they're optional, again, that's the key here, as long as this is optional, will be a benefit to those that want to take advantage of these features. Now, just as we've talked about the pros, let's talk about some of the cons. It says here that this may introduce, as con number one, more complexity into the staking process, potentially making it more difficult for delegators to understand and participate. And so yes, Cardano is complex already as it is. And so I could definitely see this making this a little bit more complicated for people. But I do think that staking right now, as it's difficult for newcomers, as you begin to familiarize yourself with the platform, it can be somewhat easy as well. So For example, if you have a Nami wallet, it's almost like a 3 or 4 click process to delegate to a stake pool. If you use websites like Pool PM, which basically integrate staking options with different wallets, it does seem pretty straightforward. But again, I do think that as Cardano grows, there will be additional layers that are created to simplify this entire process for newcomers in the ecosystem. Con number 2, this could lead to fragmentation of the stake pool ecosystem, as some stake pools may choose to only accept delegators who meet certain criteria. Again, depending on what you're doing this for, this does make sense. Now, keep in mind, Cardano already has what they call private stake pools, right? So people can already do something like this with private stake pools. And there's also additional mechanisms that can be used to deter delegation from actually occurring from unwanted delegators. And that can include raising the min pool fee or the margin fee associated with the stake pools, right? So taking a lot of those rewards up front can definitely be a deterrent that we already have. But again, this would just be another form of using some kind of exclusionism, to prevent people from delegating to a stake pool for whatever reason you may deem reasonable. Now, again, keep in mind that if you are an SPO, as Charles has mentioned, you're basically running a business, right? So just like you walk into, for example, Target, a gas station or whatever, you're moving into a business, or you're walking into a business, and those businesses have rules. And so this just basically gives people the framework to implement business-like rules with their stake pool if they wish to do so. Now, very lastly, we have 2 last cons, and then we're going to move things along. This could create regulatory burden for SPOs who choose to engage in regulatory businesses or business activity, potentially requiring them to comply with additional reporting and disclosure requirements. Now, Charles also highlighted this as a part of his latest video. Again, I recommend you guys go and check that out. But he basically mentioned that right now, for some SPOs who are abroad outside of the US, if they do business in terms of delegations, or if they have a delegator who is within the US, that basically gives the SEC or US entities to basically then treat that person who may be running a stake pool outside the US as a US entity, given that they're dealing with a delegator from the US. So as you guys can see, this basically adds an entire bit of headache for somebody who may not want to be handled with US laws just by having a delegator from the US. So having contingent staking in place could basically allow for whoever's running their pool abroad to have a check in place that says, hey, if you're not a person from abroad, right, I don't want you delegating to my stake pool, because that could then put me in the jurisdiction of the US laws, which I don't want to be associated with. Again, this is the point of contingent staking, is to give the power back to SPOs and allow for them to basically operate like a business if they're looking to do so. Very lastly, they may not be necessary, or this feature may not be necessary for all SPOs, and some may prefer to continue operating under the existing stake pool model. Again, guys, this is why I state that this is so key here. We want to make sure that this is not something that is baked into Cardano by default. If this is something that you can turn on and off, I think that this is great for Cardano. Honestly, it gives people more flexibility, and the people that want to take advantage of it can take advantage of it as they do so. And again, you're not forced to delegate to any stake pool. You're delegating to whoever you want to because you want to support them, right? And so if there's somebody that you want to support that doesn't want your support, don't take it personally. Just go and delegate with somebody that does want your support, which right now in Cardano, there's over 3,000 stake pools operating there. So you're bound to find somebody that does want your support and that you're willing to support. Now, having said that, there has just been so much conversation. And again, Charles has been doing a great job of just making sure to stick to the facts. And that's what I'm trying to do here as well. Stick to the facts and give you guys both the pros and the cons. Again, shout out to SFZip for that brief write-up. But again, that's a brief summary of what Charles talked about in his latest video. The very last thing I want to talk about is going to be the Flint wallet, which, if you guys don't know, is going to be one of the up-and-coming wallets on Cardano. Actually, I take that back. They're not up-and-coming. They're already here. They're doing a really awesome job, and Sebastian Guillemot has been doing an amazing job of continually adding and driving this particular wallet forward. Now, in my last video, I highlighted the fact that they had integrated smart contract adoption for the Milk and Meta sidechain. But what I want to highlight now is the fact that we're now gonna have a wallet that's going to allow for direct minting and burning of JED on their wallet directly. So it says here, Flint has been integrated into the JED protocol. Now you can use the Flint wallet to mint and burn JED, which is a stable coin, and the Shen reserve coin. Now, as I mentioned before, if you're not aware, JED came online about 2 weeks ago now on January 31st. It's going to be an over collateralized and algorithmic stablecoin, which has now raised over, I want to say 20 million or almost 30 million ADA in terms of reserves for their stablecoin. So they're doing really, really well. And they've been able to maintain the peg, right, which is a collateralized ratio factor of anywhere between 400 and 800% with relative ease over the last 2 weeks. So this has been a really good sign. They haven't necessarily had to stop the minting of Shen, which would be in the event that the collateral ratio hits the 400% threshold. But jumping back into the main update here, which is the focus on Flint Wallet, you're now going to have the ability to mint and burn JED directly from their wallet platform. So this is the first wallet to begin to do this. It will be really, really interesting to see what other wallet providers also bake this into their wallets themselves. So we may see Lace Wallet do this as well. Now, I'm not sure this is going to be an open source solution that will be shared with the entire community, but if you're looking to get your hands on some JED and Shen relatively quickly as a minter, right, which does have some fees associated with it, then you can go ahead and use the Flint Wallet in order to do so. Now, they've got a nice thread here highlighting how JED and Shen works, the collateralized ratio, and some of the rewards aspects. But the very last thing I want to highlight here is going to be these key factors. So it says here, at the time of this posting, which was on February 13th, there's now over 563 unique wallets holding JED and over 1,770 unique wallets holding Shen and more than 13,000 transactions that have been performed with JED on their wallet. So they've already gotten people using this. And again, I do think that this is relatively new. And over the course of the next few months, this is going to skyrocket, especially given all the information that I just highlighted to you guys about the growing TVL on Cardano. That is going to wrap it up for today's update. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, we talked about the general Cardano ecosystem and news, in which we highlighted the TVL, top gainers and most traded NFTs. We talked about the Valentine Upgrade, bringing interoperability and ease of use for developers. And then we talked a little bit about the pros and cons of contingent staking. And we just wrapped up by talking about the Flint wallet and the JED and Shen minting adoption. That is going to wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed this video or if you found it to be helpful at all, then please make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by, consider subscribing. And if you guys have any questions for me, then make sure to leave a comment down below. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.